This time on the show, we're talking about Rescue, the Embassy mission. Rescue is pretty much in a category all its own on the NES. There's just no other game like it. Whether that's a good or bad thing is really up to you, but one thing's for sure, this game is unique. The game starts off with a menu that appears to have a ton of options, but in reality they're all the exact same option with the difficulty varied a little bit. So you just pick the one that fits your skill level and you're all set. The game itself is all about being an anti-terrorist SWAT team type unit, and your goal is to make your way into the building where the hostages are being kept and eliminate all the terrorists with as few civilian casualties as possible without exceeding your time limit. The gameplay is broken into 4 parts. First, you have to get your guys into position. You do this by running left to right and avoiding searchlights on the way there. You can move into doorways and jump behind cover if you need to, as well as roll under lower sweeping lights. If you get spotted, then chances are you'll be shot and lose one of your potential 3 snipers for the next part of the mission. The next part is a bit trickier. Basically, there are 2 modes working at the same time. However many SWAT members you got through the first spotlight stage all become snipers. Each sniper covers a different side of the building that's holding all the hostages. At the same time, you have a set of 3 SWAT members that are ready to rappel down the building and in through the windows. As you rappel down the building with your guys, you'll see silhouettes of enemies in the windows. This is where the snipers come in. You can switch back and forth at any time, so you simply select the sniper on your side of the building and take out the enemy. It's to your benefit to take out as many of the enemies as possible before your team goes inside, because you're going to have to kill them at much closer range once you're inside, and they're much more likely to kill you. In any event, once you feel you've killed enough of the enemies from the outside, you rappel down into a window and break your way in. This is where the 4th section of the game starts. In this part, the game takes on a first-person perspective similar to other games Kemco made, like Shadowgate and Deja Vu. It uses a similar transition style, but since there's no text, the gameplay is much faster. Once you're inside, the goal is to kill the remaining terrorists on each floor by shooting them. It's pretty straightforward, and since there's a map and an indicator in the upper left corner that tells you how many enemies are left on each floor, it's pretty easy to find the guys that you're after and kill them. If you're able to kill all the terrorists before the time runs out, then that's it, you've beaten the game. That's right, that's all there is to it. This is easily one of the shortest games on the NES. You can go back and try the other difficulties, which increase the number of searchlights and the terrorists while reducing the time limit, but ultimately that's all there is to it. That's not to say that it's a bad game at all, just short. I play through it every year or so just for fun because it doesn't really take that long and it's not a big commitment. The music is also worth mentioning here because it's really good, much like Shadowgate and Deja Vu after it, but since the game is short, there's not as much of it as I would have liked. Still, what's there is great, and the dynamic change in music when you go from cover and then out into the open really adds to the excitement of the game. Rescue was also released on the PC as Hostage: The Rescue Mission, but I found that version to be buggy and ultimately a lot less fun than the NES game. It's also pretty inferior in the sound and visual departments. The graphics are EGA or CGA, and the music is MIDI, which doesn't really sound as good as the NES in this case. Overall, Rescue the Embassy Mission is a very creative but short-lived game. I think it's worth checking out, but you need to know what you're getting into. The game is at most 15 minutes long, with the average time taking less than 5 minutes for each run through. So while it does offer a lot of variety, it does it in very short bursts. I'll see you next time on
Game Quickie.